You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
The heroes are back. Beards talking balls, rapping pink and black. Coming live from the 305, it's official tissue. The Batter Fan, Chris and Dan, weekly rocking with you. We talk Messi, Boosie, Jordy, Lucho, the Fat Four, to Ben Cram, Noah, Ruiz, Fred. What more could you ask for? Tighten up and get ready, listen in on the pod. Solana and X in Espanol, just to even the odds. Breakdowns and gas bagging, join the tribe and just vibe. Free 99, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate, say what's up, go ahead and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get hurt again.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Solana, the Herons are back. Welcome to another episode of the Batter Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, and alongside me is none other than the man, Solana. Solana, what is going on?
Not much, man. After last night, the fans asked for the glasses. My number one fan was on the pod last night in Spanish. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready to continue this deep dive into the one-on-ones versus who should start or who shouldn't start in Inter Miami, because last night, about 23 hours ago, it got spicy, and I'm ready to continue, baby.
Yeah, listen, it's gonna be a good one. Circus Fun, shout out, thank you for the love on that. Now, and Mr. Krabs is saying Danny went on loan to Orlando, huh? Yeah, possibly. If you might see Danny on later tonight. I think he's going to be doing an MLS something later on. So it's going to be a spicy one today, guys. I mean, as you could tell just from this list right here, for those of you on audio, I'm sorry, but I'll explain it anyway. We have a list of topics here, and there's going to be a lot of debatey stuff. We're going to have a lot of discussion here, okay? But first and foremost, it's been a while since you've been on the program, Solana, and everybody kind of knows what your thoughts are of the preseason, I guess, you know, if they watched the Spanish show yesterday. But and look at Tommy. Shout out to Tommy. He was pointing out that Todd the God went out to Disney. He did like this challenge, this 4-hour something challenge to visit the 4 Disney parks. Super awesome. We need an emergency Disney pod immediately.
I'm in for that one, Chris. I'm in for that one. I'm a big Disney lover, and I got all the inside secrets, especially where the best and cleanest bathrooms are in all of Walt Disney World.
Nice. Yeah. Mr. Krabs also mentioned here, let's see if any of you go between the sticks and play goalie. Listen, I got this Miami Fusion. Shout out to Joe Shaw, by the way. Okay. Shout out to Joe Shaw. When I went to the Fusion event, he hooked me up with this goalie kit, right? I got the goalie kit going on here. I actually got some autographs here. Let's see. I'm just gonna show it off right here. Got autographs of the goalies that played goalies for the season, I guess, that they won. And dude, I mean, it was an amazing event. So I had to put on the goalie kit.
I don't want to get the chat riled up 3 minutes into the show, but you were telling me who signed those, that jersey before we came on. And yes. I told you that I was going to make this comment, and I would rather have any one of those 3 goalies between the sticks than Drake Callender on opening night. So we're going to start off nice and spicy before we get into preseason thoughts. But, dude, I'm ready to go, Chris. Let's do it.
So let's get to it, right? Before we get to the last but not least topic, I want to get your thoughts on the first topic, preseason thoughts, right? Like I mentioned, a lot of people that watched us in Spanish will probably have an idea of what it is that you prefer or what you liked, what you didn't like. So far, what are your thoughts so far of this preseason? Because, I mean, everybody knows that I was just very kind of skeptical in terms of, what Mascherano was going to bring to the table. It was nice to see that he wants the pressure, and it was nice to see the team back on the pitch. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, I think I was more surprised at the formation that he came out in. It was almost like a 4-2-3-1, like we had predicted. It even turned into a 4-4-2 at times when they were defending. So I was kind of surprised at the formation that he went with. And then I was also surprised at how well Inter Miami competed throughout the game. Obviously, we know that America dominated the ball. They had double the amount of passes. They beat them on possession 65-35. But that's okay because Inter Miami was in the game and they had chances, to score, getting the goal from the assist Suarez to Messi, which was beautiful. And then they had a couple other chances to score as well. And Club America really didn't have that many chances. Inter Miami played a high line, had them offside 6 times throughout the game, which was fantastic. I loved what I saw out of Toto Aviles and Noah Allen, the center back pairing. I was talking to one of our wonderful followers there, Bigote, last night, and we were kind of exchanging ideas. And I told him, I said, I think Toto Aviles is going to have a breakout year. And the reason why I think he's going to have a breakout year is, he's going to have a center back pairing that's consistent. Remember, last year, he played with Freire, he played with Noah Allen, he played with Sergei Kristoff, he played with Saylor, he played with everybody. And it's kind of tough as a center back to, have to play with a different person every other game. You don't get used to that. So I think with a full preseason under his belt, adding Maximiliano Falcon, which I think is going to be huge for this team, I think overall, Inter Miami is on the right track for, 6 or 7 days into the preseason.
I didn't want to say this, and a lot of people are starting to say it, but I didn't want to agree so far. But I feel like this offseason has been, I guess, the best for the money's worth that we're getting so far in comparison to other, off seasons. Now, obviously, we were under like crazy restrictions years before. But like so far, I'm pretty happy with the way that things have been going. Now, I see here, Judas keeps asking, where's Boba going to play? Right? He's asking, so who's coming, Boba or Baltasar? I don't know if you remember watching the episode, and we did this graphic in Spanish as well. This is the roster, guys. This is with Farias, who just got apparently shipped out, supposedly.
Yep, he's going to Estudiantes de La Plata, apparently from Argentina. And I think that's great for Inter Miami because he's going on a full sale. We're basically selling the entire contract. So he's off the books. That's fantastic, Chris.
Now, here's the thing. We have 24 players listed here. You're naming 2 additional players to add to this 24 when we need to get this down to 20. There's going to be possibly 4 players on this, maybe more, that are either not going to be wearing pink and black or going to be playing for like IMCF2. So that's kind of the reason why we have these sort of topics, because at some point there might be some sort of weeding situation where people might not be lacing up their boots in pink and black in the beginning of the season. So
look, I'll give Pogba some advice. Miami FC, who got beat 13-0 the other day by a Brazilian team, could use some center mid, help. He should probably go and get a few games under his belt with Miami FC, so we can see what he's got, because he hasn't played in years. He's not on the juice anymore, so he's obviously not going to be playing pissed off. So what does he have to offer at this point? Unless he's coming for free or for a super cheap deal, it just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'd much rather go for a younger guy, somebody who can offer something in the midfield, especially if you know that Busquets is going to be starting. You need to surround him with some younger talent, some guys that can run and that can make up for the fact that, he's a little bit older and he's a little bit slower. So, the genius is always going to be there. But unfortunately, sometimes, Chris, as you know and I know, the legs, the mind wants the legs to do something. Sometimes the legs cannot do it.
Absolutely not. I mean, and here's Xavier. The roster holds 30 players. Shout out to X, La Voz. Holds 30 players. The senior team consists of 20 players. Yeah, but that's the thing, X. Like, we saw the list last night. Where are you going to get the 20 from here? Who are the 4? I mean, we went over it in Spanish. So if you guys want Xavier's opinion, for sure you're going to see it in Spanish. Guys, if you missed the Spanish show yesterday, if you understand just like a quarter of Spanish, you guys have to listen to that show. You have to. Okay.
It was by far, and not because I was on it, but it was, in my opinion, by far one of the best Spanish shows that we've done since we started Garzas FC or Batter Herons en Español. Only because, and I'll throw it out there, only because the chat was on absolute fire. So thank you to all who joined in on the Spanish show last night. You guys made the absolute difference, and really keep coming at me. I love it. Keep coming at me. I'm not going to change. And the battered fam knows that. So, it's all good, fellas.
Well, and now let's get to the next topic here, right? So we kind of got your idea on the preseason thoughts, and I touched a little bit on it as well. Mascherano's 11 that he started with, right? And I don't know if this is an image here. Yeah, so this is the image right here. For those of you on audio, we went ahead and put up the image of the starting 11 for this past week, right? So for this past game, right? Suarez and Messi played up top in the 2. You had Fafa left mid, Taylor right mid, Busquets and Redondo sharing the center midfield. Then you had Alba left back, Weigand left right back, and then Allende and Aviles at the center back positions, respectfully. And then you had Rocco playing in between the sticks. Now, obviously, it's hard to judge this as like the 11, right? But were you comfortable with this 11 right here as it was?
I can tell you I was comfortable with the goalkeeper. I was comfortable with the back line.
Yeah.
I was definitely comfortable with the Busquets Redondo pairing at the beginning of the game. But as the game went on, and it's something again that I saw, that I've been seeing with Redondo as he's come back from his injury. I don't know if he's a little bit iffy about getting hurt. I don't think it's really that. I think Redondo is currently in the place where Diego Gomez was before he completely took off. So I think he's still trying to find his footing, still getting a full preseason under his belt. And look, he didn't have the greatest game. He missed that penalty over the bar. He didn't play that well in the midfield, but I think he is going to have a great season. Now, the one player who to me stood out more than anybody other than Noah Allen was Fafa Pico. Only because, the guy never stops. His motor is absolutely unbelievable. He's the energizer bunny of this team. He's a polyfunctional player. He can play on the left. He could play on the right. When you saw Suarez come out, he played 9 for a little bit. And again, he's not your traditional 9, but like I mentioned on the Spanish show last night, you can play a little bit differently. You can play into the spaces to Fafa. He can make that diagonal run behind the center back. And they are 3D glasses. I'm watching Chris and all of you guys in 3D just so that you guys can know. So, but like I was saying, I mean, Fafa to me was the absolute surprise of the entire game. And not that I was surprised, I expected that from him, but overall, to me, he was probably the player of the game, more than Messi. And then look, Taylor was completely lost. Taylor, to me, has lost his spot on this team. I think we're just waiting for, one of the other signings, either Telasco Segovia to be ready to go, possibly somebody else. But I think Taylor at this point has lost his spot. I think you saw that with, the team primarily played on the left flank almost the entire game. It was all through Jordi Alba, Busquets, Redondo, and Fafa. Very rarely did they give the ball to Robert Taylor. And I think he noticed that. He was upset when he came off the pitch. And look, at some point, he's going to have to be either, find his role, sit on the bench, play for Inter Miami too, or just get shipped out, because I just don't think he has a role on this team.
Well, it's a weird dynamic, right? Because, and I guess we'll get into it in a little bit when we start talking about the individuals, right? Like when we get to Fafa or Allende, but in terms of Robert Taylor, right? And the same thing goes for Gressel. Anybody who plays like the right midfield, they get lost, right? Now, I've just noticed myself that no matter who plays behind Messi, you're lost, right? And then you also have everything going through the left side with Jordi Alba. So if you add Fafa on the left, who's going to give enough room for flexibility for Alba to move, Fafa is a very dynamic player. So he's able to sort of work around Jordi Alba. There were times where Taylor was working well with Alba, but then a lot of times that he was working very conflicting with Alba. He wasn't working very cohesively with him. So that's where I think we tend to see that for Taylor, it might be sort of that if you're going to stay on the right side, I feel like anybody that you put there behind Messi is just going to be lost. They're going to be a ghost, whether it's Gressel, whether it's Taylor. I think Fafa will make a bigger impact just because of the lack of attack from Chelo Weigand, right? But other than that, I feel like that's a place where Taylor is going to get lost because even in the past, before we had Messi, Taylor always played best from the left. He was never very effective from the right.
He was, but if you see how the way that Taylor plays, especially when he's on the left, he's the type of player that likes to grab the ball, and he looks like almost like a racehorse, like Seabiscuit. He puts his blinders on the side, he runs down to the side, and he tries to center the ball. That's what he does. So if he's going to do that, he's better off playing on the right side. Why? Because Jordi Alba loves to play that overlapping run. He loves to go up high. And when he goes up high, the good thing that Fafa does is he can tuck inside and almost he can receive the ball and he can cut inside and shoot the ball. He can make an overlapping run around Jordi Alba and help out there, where Taylor really didn't do that. If you saw him, in the games that he played with Alba, it was much more so, like I said, it was he would get a pass from Alba, he would either pass it back or he'd run down the line and either center the ball. And I'm seeing here, Mr. Krabs doesn't know who Seabiscuit is, bro. If you don't know who Seabiscuit is, you don't know horse racing. Come on, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Watch the movie. Fantastic movie. But I would have preferred Taylor on the right side. I thought that was going to be better because Chelo doesn't go up as much as Alba, and that would have given Taylor the opportunity to expose that right side and use what he likes to do, which is run down the line and center the ball. But we didn't see any of that. We didn't see any combination play with anybody, and that's why I think, for me, Taylor is the odd man out in that team.
Well, I mean, look at what Mike V is saying here. He says that basically Solana says Taylor is the worst player on the left. He should be sent to IMCF too. And Solana says Taylor should be sent to Miami FC. Hey.
I'd prefer to send him out for some GAM or an international roster spot. I mean, if you're asking me to be honest with you, but I think we could get something for him. I don't think he's a terrible player. I think he could be valuable for another team. To me, I kind of compare him to like Lewis Morgan. Lewis Morgan was a fan favorite. He played, I would say, above average for Inter Miami. He left, and now he's somewhat of a quasi star over for the New York Red Bulls. And I think Taylor could do that for maybe a Minnesota United, a Sporting Kansas City, or possibly a Portland. I would love to see him reunite with Neville over there in Portland and see what he can do with them. So this is not a knock on Taylor. It's more so he doesn't play the style of football that this team is going to play going forward.
Well, let's get into it, right? We've already covered the 11. Let's get into the debatey stuff, right? I mean, we're kind of already on one of the subjects where we're talking about Taylor, and Taylor has a lot to do with that left wing position, right? Now, typically in this argument, I guess we would do Fafa versus Taylor, right? But as far as like new people coming is concerned, we have Fafa versus Allende, right? So Tadeo Allende, right, is going to be coming to the team. And as Danny and I had covered in the past, and I'll see if I could be able to bring up the image here. And everybody knows this image, okay? We got 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 started, 1 match, 1 minute played, 1 yellow card. Now, that was then. He's had some activity recently. So now the discussion is, when we're looking at the team here, do we look at that left wing and do we say, is it worth keeping Fafa up there? Or do we have Allende up there?
Now, my question to you, Chris, is why not both?
Well, I mean, but then that means you're going to have to move. Essentially, if we were to do something like that, you would have to move. Let's see. I mean, the formation would have to change. Not
really. You could have Allende play as kind of like that 4-2-2-2 and have him replace Taylor, or you move to a 4-2-3-1, play Allende on the right, Fafa on the left, Messi as your 10, and leave Suarez up top. So that could be an option. But we still have more signings possibly that could come, like folks have been mentioning Baltazar Rodriguez and some other guys. So we really don't know. And you could also have Telasco Segovia playing as kind of like that Diego Gomez role in a 4-2-3-1 where he can play on that left wing as well. So it's going to be really interesting. It's not more of a Fafa or Allende question. It's almost like a Fafa, Allende, Baltazar, and Telasco Segovia question. It's who are the 2 best that are going to play out of those 4?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because the thing is, Allende, he's coming in as like this super winger. Now, I mean, a lot of people that we had spoken to actually is like, very thrilled about this guy. I know that you looked up some stats about him just recently in terms of like what he's been up to, just to catch everybody up here before he's getting loaned to Inter Miami. He played for Instituto for 24 appearances in 2021 to 2022. He was loaned out to Godoy Cruz between 2023 and 2023. He has 13 goals with them before 2023. And then he went to Celta Vigo and appeared 11 times with a goal. And now here we are, where he's going to be coming to Inter Miami. Now, as far as Tadeo Allende versus Fafa, number one, I would go with Fafa because number one, he's proven, right? He's older in comparison to this guy, but at the same time, like Fafa is proven, dude. And then on top of that, like he's got an engine that never stops. These are things that obviously I've been a little bit more familiar with because I've seen Fafa play for a little longer. I got more tape on him, I guess. And with the way that Fafa appeared in this first game, it's preseason. It's his first game, not just this season, but like with this team, period. So to me, like I would take Fafa over, if I had to decide between the two, I'm going to go with Fafa over Allende.
See, I haven't seen enough of Allende, but I'm really looking forward to seeing him and seeing how he combines with the rest of the team. So I can't make up a decision now, my decision over who I would start. But I'll tell you this. If you don't bring a backup 9, then I'd almost be inclined to bring Fafa off the bench only because he can play that 9 role in backup Suarez and give you a different look. And so if you're going to play Suarez 60 minutes, what better way to change the pace of the game than bringing Fafa off the bench into that 9 role and then just completely destroying the defense? The defense should be tired at that point, and then you can make those diagonal runs and have Messi kind of look for him, on those diagonal runs behind the defense.
That is absolutely fire, Solana. I didn't even consider that. I mean, obviously, we kind of saw that he was playing the striker role after Luis Suarez got off the pitch, but like that makes perfect sense. If they don't keep him at the winger position and they decide to play Allende out on the left wing, and then they have Fafa come in with 20-30 minutes to spare, like fresh out the box, and then he's gonna high press these defenders when they're exhausted, thinking at like 40% of their brain power, like that's going to make up for a lot in terms of like being, let's say we're behind or something like that. To have that sort of energy so high. And then you saw towards the end of the game, even if it was a preseason game, Mascherano was like, keep pressing. It's like, dude, it's a preseason game. You're still going to press? What are we doing?
Well, but he made the changes in the lineup to go ahead and press because he brought in Yannick Bright. He brought in David Ruiz. He put Fafa at the 9. So he changed and brought in a much younger team and just basically said, hey, guys, go get the game. Go press. And Steve brings up a good point. Will he pull him off after 60 minutes? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But remember, this is a 32 or 34 game season. In addition to that, you're going to have Club World Cup. You're going to have CONCACAF Champions League. You're going to have Leagues Cup. There is a absolutely jam-packed schedule for the 2025 season. And so everybody is going to have their chance to shine at some point or another. I don't know if Suarez is going to be able to stay healthy all season like he did last year. He won't be on international duty anymore, which will be, fantastic for the team. He'll be staying, but can you get that from Suarez? I think if you can get what Suarez gave you from 2 people, I think that's fantastic. So look, we need to see a little bit more preseason, Chris. We got to see what they look like against Universitario. We got to see what they look like against the team from Honduras, Olimpia, and then the big matchup towards the end of the preseason will be against Orlando City FC, and then we'll see then. I think by that point, we'll have a better understanding of what this team is going to be about.
Mike V saying Chris says Fafa should play instead of Suarez. Look, It's right. Look, Mr. Krabs is saying I want to see what Lujan can do first, which we're gonna get to that. You don't worry about a thing, Chicken Wing. And then look, RL saying I hope Marsh is not like Tata stubborn on subbing. I think Mascherano, I don't think that he's stubborn. I think that since this game had like a piece of hardware on the line, like it was somewhat serious, I think that's why maybe he kept some of the players on for a longer period of time. That might have been, something to do with it. Stancy's here mentioning, well, they have to practice, Chris. Absolutely, Stancy. I mean, I do think that all of these games that we're going to be playing and this time that we're going to be taking advantage of to be able to practice and sort of formulate together and form like Voltron, I feel like it's absolutely important. And especially the moment that we're getting some of these players like Allende, like Lujan, like Falcon, these players are going to make a crazy difference in terms of how things are orchestrated on the pitch. And Allende might fall into a place where he might not even have to be competing with Fafa for that position, like you mentioned. It is a good question, though. Like what Don Cafecito mentioned, is he really going to be getting pulled off, 60, 70 minutes? Luis Suarez, I'm speaking of, 60, 70 minutes into the game. So, I mean, that's a good question. Like, who knows, really? It really depends. Like, do you want to reserve, Suarez and keep him a little bit healthier? I don't know.
I think it's going to come down to, what Suarez, Messi, and Busquets and Alba are feeling, how they're feeling on the day-to-day. I'm sure they're talking, on the norm with Javier Mascherano. So, look, it's really going to – I think – it's going to go with, how the LeBron James, I know you're into basketball, Chris. So,
yes.
LeBron James basically tells a coach when he wants to go out, when he wants to go in. I mean, he tells JJ Redick what to do. So I think it's going to be similar like that, at least with the four Fantásticos. They'll let Mascherano know. And obviously, if he feels like it's time to pull one of them off, I think he will pull the trigger. I don't think, he's upset or he's gonna be soft with them. I think when it's time to make the right choice, he will.
Now, as far as, and people are mentioning Falcon, right? Stancy's saying here, I think Falcon is just waiting for his visa. I think there is some visa issues going on with Falcon. And again, it's not like Instagram and Twitter official through Inter Miami, but there have been a lot of confirmings from multiple sources, even sources that deeply cover this team, confirming this. So it's like, it's pretty, I don't want to say it's set in stone because we're not really breaking any news here, but like it's pretty obvious that Maxi Falcon is going to be making his way down to South Florida. Listen, Bruni, sometimes you're hot and sometimes you're cold. Today you've been solid so far, my friend. So shout out to you. 90 people and only 24 likes. Come on, Batter Familia. Hit that like button. Guys, it's literally $3.99. Scroll up, press that little thumb up thing. I mean, if you want to press the thumb down, try not to, but whatever. It's freedom of whatever. But the thumbs up is better than the thumbs down. So please take that time. All right. So Fafa versus Allende. I think that we're both pretty much in agreement. We're agreeing that Fafa is the better option, but a nice caveat you threw in there is if Fafa takes the striker position behind Luis Suarez, that accommodates a lot of things, and maybe Allende would be playing on the left wing. Now, the next one, which is probably one of the hardest ones that I personally want to argue, which is David Ruiz versus Ben Cremaschi. Now, for those of you that are watching, you're familiar with this team, and both David Ruiz and Ben Crem have come up through, IMCF2, through the academy and all that stuff. These guys are like as Miami can possibly be. Both of them, like legit, both of them were raised in Miami. Okay, now both of them are very young, and they both have a motor. They both are nonstop. They are hungry for minutes on this team, which is amazing. Both of them have very separate play styles, right? Ruiz and Cremaschi, they play very differently. Now, and look, people are, I mean, look at this, Solana. I mean, people are already answering, and we haven't even really built this up. We got Ruiz from Soccer Daddy, Ruiz over Cremita, Mike V, Ruiz, Marasovic, Jack Cart, Ruiz. Oh, Walter with a Ben Creme. Stanzi saying Ruiz. I mean, but we got a lot of Ruiz. Look at this.
I'm curious. I'm curious as to, because they both kind of play different positions, Chris. So I wouldn't play them yet at the same time. I think they're both too immature to play at the same time. I will tell you this. I think
either or, that's what we're discussing here, right? Like either or, which one would you take? Because again, like I mentioned, we got 24 players. Some people are not going to be suiting up for the senior team.
Absolutely. And personally, I would take Cremaschi over Ruiz. And that's my personal opinion. I think he's got a higher ceiling than Ruiz. I think Ruiz is a fantastic kid. But unfortunately, for the way that this team is built, I think there's already people that are already in his place. You have Yannick Bright, who I think is already over him. You've got Busquets, who is over him. You have Redondo, who is over him. You possibly even have Telasco Segovia, who might even slot into that role as well, over him. So at this point, I think you need somebody who's a little bit more offensive, and that's what Ben Creme gives you. Ben Creme gives you a little bit more offensive. He can come off the bench, and he played solid minutes. The other thing, unfortunately, I don't forget about things like this. And David Ruiz really cost Inter Miami their chance at advancing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And look, I'm not saying he hasn't learned, but that to me, at the end of the day, it's just kind of like a thorn in my side that I'm just not going to forget. So because of that, and not only because of that, but there was also a handful of other times where he let his immaturity get the best of him in the game and he got an unnecessary card. So because of that is where I would say I think Ben Creme right now is much more mature than David Ruiz, and he would offer a lot more for this team going forward.
So I'm going to tell you my opinion, and I'm going to be on the other side of this. I'm going with David Ruiz. That's who I'm picking between Ruiz and Ben Creme. Yellow card, red card, Blues Clues card, I don't care. To me, David Ruiz has way more class on the ball than Ben Creme. On top of that, the thing is, Ruiz knows, from what I can tell, and again, I'm not like on the pitch with them, but from what I could tell, Ruiz knows how to control himself a little better. Like Ben Creme is like 1 billion miles per hour, and he is on the attack. And it looks like he does exhaust himself a little quicker than David Ruiz. Now, one of the things about David Ruiz, in my opinion, that beats Ben Creme, and which is important to this team, is that we need players that they have the cojones, the balls, to play soccer without depending so much on Messi. One of the biggest problems and one of the reasons why people love Matias Rojas is because Matias Rojas is willing to Jean Mota blast it from anywhere on the pitch. He doesn't care whether the Messi's 5 feet away from him or not. But Ben Creme, he's got like a Messi radar every time he's on the ball. And so David Ruiz, who can handle the ball better, has way better touch, right? And plays well defensively, not as well as Ben Creme, but plays pretty well defensively. He's more creative, and he's kind of got a little bit more gall to be able to get the ball in the back of the net or make the appropriate passes. I mean, that's just what I think. I think regardless, whoever it is, I think that both of them are really good for the team. But just my opinion, I think that Ruiz is a way better option than Ben Creme.
I mean, that's a good opinion. I can understand exactly what you're saying. Again, I just think for the way that this team is built, if you're going to choose to keep one of the two players, I think Cremaschi just gives you more on the offensive side than what David Ruiz does. I can understand what you're saying, but I also think the fact that Ben Creme has been getting some reps with the national team, it's going to help him kind of grow a little bit as a player. Absolutely. And really, I think he's in his year where he needs to actually make some sort of strides, and I think he knows that. Look, I follow him on social media. I know that he was in Argentina. He was in Punta del Este over the break. So he was definitely getting together with the right kind of people down there and drinking mate And I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. So I'm excited to see, and again, this is not a knock on Ruiz. I think both of them are great players.
Yes.
This is just an opinion of, which one of us thinks is better for the team. And
Yes.
that's why I go with Ben Creme over Ruiz.
Oh, and I just saw somewhere, hold on, because Bruno is mentioning a midfield of Ruiz, Bright Cremaschi is too young and talented not to succeed for some matches in second halves if they stay. But that's the thing, that's when they're going to see the time, right? It's going to be in the second half, which is the perfect time. Like, honestly, in my opinion, if you throw players on for the second half, last 20, 30 minutes, and you got guys coming off the bench like Fafa, Ben Creme, David Ruiz, like, they're going to be literal terrorists on the pitch at the most dire time of the opposing team. So, like, I think if Mascherano keeps those guys there and strategizes them to be like supplemental players towards the end of the game, I think that it's going to be an onslaught at the end of games.
Absolutely. There's no better way to change the way that a game is going, than subbing in young, fresh legs in the last 20, 30 minutes of the game, especially when the other team, and usually it's very, very rare for a team to sub out defenders. So if you're subbing out some of your midfield, some of your forwards, and you're putting on a full press, and these are young, hungry guys, it's going to cause a lot of problems for the opposing defenses. There's no doubt.
Now, Soccer Daddy's mentioning, don't forget Alfonso, and Alfonso's a badass. But I don't think that Alfonso holds a lighter to David Ruiz or Ben Creme in terms of time. I don't think so.
I think Alfonso might be the most talented of the three. I just think right now he doesn't have the frame.
He doesn't have the open. There's nothing going to be open for him.
No, and not only that, but he doesn't have yet the frame to play at this level. I think he needs to gain a little bit of more weight, get into the weight room, get a little bit of more muscle. He gets pushed around a lot right now when he plays, although you see a lot of his, genius at times when he can get that's exactly what I was going to say. When he finds his shots, because he can find the space and he can get open, and he's not scared to take a shot. He'll rip the ball. So, look, I don't put it past it. He might be the most talented of those three. You make a great point that right now there might not be a position for him, but if he can kind of, work his way up in IMCF2, get some goals in place, look,
he's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that he has a spot on this team, especially if some of the other players, fail to show that they belong at the beginning of the season.
And that's the thing about Leo Alfonso. The only reason that I mentioned that he doesn't hold a lighter to David Ruiz or Ben Cremaschi is because David Ruiz and Ben Cremaschi, I feel like they are going to be fighting for similar positions in the midfield. I feel like when it comes to Alfonso, I feel like he's going to be competing very heavily with the forward position, right? The wingers or the striker. And the thing is, you look at the depth there, and unfortunately, either due to inexperience, due to just not having the eyes placed on them as much as other players, I don't think that he's going to have the opportunities to be able to have so many minutes on the pitch. So that's just what I think. I don't know. In my opinion, I think that Alfonso, in a couple years, he's gonna be a terrorist for us, for sure. All right, moving on. We've moved on from Fafa and Allende. We moved on from Ruiz and Ben Creme. Now we're on to Redondo versus Yannick Bright. Now, this is another one that I kind of looked at. I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough to debate. But, not really, because, it just depending on what side you're going on. I guess I'll go first. Bright consistently, and again, I'm only working off of the time that they've been with our team, with Inter Miami. Yannick Bright consistently, since his number's been called, which was completely unexpected, showed out in a big way, in a way where it was noticeable even in the playoffs, where you had a game and a half, and shout out to Dry Pink Dialogue that mentioned this, a game and a half where Yannick Bright was in the game where we were at our best, and then the second half of the second game and the third full game where Bright wasn't there, and we were at our worst in that playoff series. Bright unexpectedly came out and balled out. Redondo, other than the beginning of his time with us before the injury, he played well, but then got injured, fell off, came back, wasn't the same. And then as everybody saw in the last game, looked pretty off. Now, before I get your answer, okay, I'm just going to go through some of the chat here. Mo Farou says, I haven't even looked at it. I just looked at it right now. Absolutely Bright. Mike V, Bright over Redondo. Bright, not difficult by upcode. No brainer, Mr. Krabs, Yannick Bright. No question, it's Bright by Stancy. Redondo, easy by John Paul Terrazas. Bright until proven wrong. Oof, I mean, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of Bright here.
I'm taking
Bright
out my
equals
glasses for this
Lujan.
one, Chris, because
Oh, man.
I cannot believe what I'm reading right now. I'm sorry, but for those of you that are choosing Bright over Redondo, you clearly haven't watched Redondo play when he played for Argentinos Juniors and when he played for the Argentine U20 team, or sorry, U23 team when he played for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Redondo is an absolute stud. Now,
oh, for sure.
I go back to a lot of young South American players who have come into the MLS and have struggled at the beginning of their time. Just in Inter Miami, you have Toto Aviles, you have Diego Gomez, and we can continue. You know, even Chelo Wigan, who's not a super young guy and came over, he struggled a little bit at the beginning. So, look, a lot of these players that are coming from South America, the game is a little bit different here. The game is a little bit different. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit, not as let's say, not as skillful as it is in South America. And so it's a
little bit more
game.
bruising. It's a little more bruising.
Exactly. And so, look, at the end of the day, you need to give Redondo that. And look, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have to earn it. Yeah, he has to earn it. But to say that Bright over Redondo is absolute just hogwash. Absolute hogwash, because Redondo has the opportunity, and this is a player who was recruited by Real Madrid and by some of the other top teams in Europe. So the fact that people are so down on him just goes to show that they've never seen him other than the fact that when he wore the black and pink. And if you go back and watch some of his other games, you can see the genius that he brings to the field. So look, I think everybody needs to take a chill pill, or maybe they need to hit up Tommy from, Tommy one time, or now Tommy two-time, right? Because he's the two-time worst, guest of the year. So hit up Tommy two-time, get some 10 milligrams, take a back seat, and just take a chill pill. It's all going to be good. Just listen to Solana. It's all going to be good.
I want to mention something here, because, again, I prefaced my argument for Bright clearly explaining just the time that they have with Inter Miami. Now, I know that he has really good experience and really good he's had a very good showing playing for Argentina, right? I just want to go to this comment here. Raul Rojas. He's been up and down this comment section with this. Thank God Solana is here. You're people out of your mind. And Solana knows soccer, and Chris knows how to play dominoes. I saw that. Just
an FYI, I paid him. He's my guy. He's my guy. So
yeah. I mean, no. Apparently, I'm the only thing I know how to do is play dominoes. Oh yeah, ¿dónde está doble nueve? No, listen. I'm going to tell you right now, Raul, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm like a super duper educated football person, because I'm not, right? I'm learning this as I go. And just from what I've seen in Inter Miami, clearly Redondo has had a hell of a time playing for Argentina. And there's a reason that Redondo has this higher ceiling than Bright. I think it's pretty out there that everybody is expecting more from Redondo. So my whole point is, yes, there are high expectations for Redondo because his ceiling is a lot higher. But as far as Bright is concerned, the fact that there was not even that high of an expectation and he exceeded those expectations, that's what stands out to me. So, and I appreciate the love, Raul. Okay. But again, like I said, it's just from what I've seen here in Inter Miami. So, and Upcode is saying Redondo is only a backup to Busi. Somebody else mentioned in the comments that if Busi wasn't in Inter Miami, that Redondo would be a top 5 CDM in this league. I absolutely agree. I think he's going to be a top 5 CDM in this league with Busi here. So, I mean, I don't know. I think with Busi here, he's going to be incredible. He's just got to find the rhythm. And look, Danny is out here saying Redondo 2025 equals Gomez 2024. I agree with that as well. I mean, look, this makes a lot of sense, John Paul. If an A student gets a B, you'd rather have an F student get a C. John, let's call a spade here, Papa. The A student that you're talking about, which is Redondo, did not get a B. He got like a C fucking minus.
Yeah,
no?
but hold on. But Bright, who is apparently the
he wasn't an F student.
in
he
this
was like
analogy.
A D.
No,
he was like a D. He was like in the lower classes.
He came in as an unknown. He came in as a complete unknown, and he showed up. I mean, look, I'll give you a better analogy, Chris. I'll give you a better analogy. Yannick Bright is what Chelo Ware is to the Miami Heat right now, because he's the young guy who nobody had any idea what was going to happen. He came in and the guy showed up. The guy absolutely showed up. Redondo, unfortunately, came with his father's name, Fernando Redondo, so that's attached to him. He came with the fame that he was being recruited by Real Madrid. So obviously people are expecting a much higher ceiling from this player. So it's very, very, very irresponsible for folks to compare what Redondo did to what Bright did, because Bright, the unknown, absolutely went above and beyond what people would have expected, because they didn't expect anything from him. Obviously, Redondo disappointed because there was an expectation, but there was an expectation on Gomez. He disappointed. He came back. He balled out, and Inter Miami sold him for a record transfer fee out of the MLS. So, like I said,
Mitch saying Solana, like 6 people know who Ware is. Well, shout out to the Battered Heat Fans podcast, guys. And Stancy, it's understandable if you don't know what Solana is talking about. Watch us on Battered Heat Fans podcast. Check us out. And look, Upcode is saying stop Solana. Bright outplayed him. Look, like I mentioned, Upcode, he outplayed him because, number one, Redondo was injured for some time last season. That's gonna hurt, right? That's gonna hurt your image. That's gonna hurt the progression. That's gonna hurt the expectation. But this year, it's a clean slate, and everybody's expecting great things from Redondo. Do I think it's gonna happen? Yes. I mean, it sucks that he had a not that great of a showing last game, but at the end of the day, I think that he's gonna progress. He's gonna get a lot better. Let's move on to the next one, which in my opinion is probably the easiest one to discuss. David Martinez versus Toto Aviles. Now, the reason that it's put Martinez or Aviles is because it is assumed that coming in at $2.5 million, Maxi Falcon is going to be a starter. It's assumed.
It could be assumed, but
at
we're
that
gonna
price
have to
tag.
wait and see. I mean, Toto Aviles, I guess, he was $7 million, and I guess you have to live and die on the Toto Aviles hill, just like Danny said. But I mean, look, I think it's gonna end up being on a game-to-game thing. You might even see Falcon and Martinez play together. Remember, Falcon can play both on the right and the left side. Martinez is a lefty, so it all depends on how Mascherano likes to play. Tata loved to play with a person who was a very good on the ball and who was a lefty. That's why you saw players like Freire play there, players like David Martinez, and so he preferred that. But if Mascherano doesn't really care, then I could see all 3 of them start at any point. It just depends on, you got to ride the hot hand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but in my opinion, like I said, if we're gonna bring on Maxi Falcon for 2.5, right? And it's guaranteed. We're just assuming the hypothetical here is that Maxi Falcon is going to be the starter, and that the choice is Martinez or Aviles for that second center back position. I would go hand down, man down with Aviles, because and the hill that Danny is gonna die on. He's basically saying he's gonna co-sign for Redondo and Aviles the rest of the season because he strongly believes that they're just gonna do amazing this year.
I agree.
Yeah, and I do agree as well. And if there's anyone that has the biggest potential out of anyone in this team, it's those two players, Redondo and Aviles, right? I'm going to go with Aviles over Martinez on this one. Just the simple fact that you have Aviles who showed out for almost all the games that he was allowed to play, right? Barring freaking yellow card accumulation. He played pretty well. He played consistently. He was a person that you can rely on at that center back position, no matter what. So I think that it would be boneheaded to say that David Martinez is the better choice in this situation. And a lot of people are agreeing here in the chat.
Now, question, Chris, and this is me playing devil's advocate, but why not play all three in a back line three?
But you're cooking up with like extra sazon and extra ingredients that I wasn't expecting here.
I came prepared today, Chris. I came prepared. I did my homework. I was ready to go. I told you last night's show just lit a fire under Solana's ass, and I was ready to show up today. So as soon as you guys invited me, I was like, hey, I'm in 100%. But yeah, why not play all three? I mean, I would try it. That's what the regular season is for. The regular season is to try all these things so when you get into the playoffs, you know what the best 11 and what the best lineup is against the people who you play against. Yeah, and I know Mascherano, they say Mascherano doesn't play that. But look, I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap what a coach plays or doesn't play. I'm the type of guy that a coach needs to put the formation that best fits his players and is going to give his players the best chance to win. So if that's a back three, a back 5, 4, whatever it might be, I don't care what the coach has done in the past. That's what the coach needs to do. And if he doesn't, he'll be questioned. And I'll be the first one to question him.
I'm going to tell you, I do believe Rosell here with the comment. David Martinez does make some good passes into the midfield. Another thing I like about David Martinez is that he's also got no shame, and he's one to blast it from the back.
Absolutely.
Pause.
And he can knock it, man. He can get it into the goal too. So he's got a nice shot.
Yeah, I like defenders that are willing to, like, for example, what's this guy? Chris McVeigh? It was Chris McVeigh, right? Chris McVeigh, when he played with us, he wasn't afraid to blast the ball in the back of the net. He actually had a couple goals with us.
He wasn't afraid to dribble in his own box as well, and he had quite a few turnovers. He did. While he wasn't shy to knock the cannon, he also wasn't shy to lose the ball in his own box. So that's why he's playing out on the West Coast now.
This is a good question by Esteban Mejia. Solana, what's your lineup with 5 in the back? So you mentioned, let's walk through it, right? Maxi Falcon, Martinez, Aviles. I imagine Jordi Alba's a shoo-in.
100%. Jordi Alba and Chelo right now on the right until we can see what Lujan does. And then you play 2 in the middle. So I would play Redondo and I would play Busi. And then I would play, 3 up top, Suarez, Messi. And right now we don't know who's going to play that left wing, but it could be Fafa, it could be Allende, it could be Baltasar. Really could be anybody. It could even be Telasco Segovia. You can even play a 5-3-2 and just jam-pack the middle and play with a bright Redondo and Busquets. That'll give you a lot of defense, and it'll allow Jordi and Chelo to really go up because you'll have the 3 center backs in there, and you'll have Bright as kind of like that center mid, as a 5 to kind of act as a stopper in front of the 3 center backs. So look, there's so many possibilities with all these players that are coming in that I think Mascherano is extremely lucky, and he should be counting his blessings for everything that Jorge Mas and team is giving him.
So let's move over to the right side of this lineup that we're talking about. And perfect comment and perfect timing by Steve Munoz leads us right into it. If anyone thinks Lujan will replace Chelo, y'all in for a rude awakening. And we get to none other than Chelo versus Lujan in the right wing back or right back position. Now, Chelo, everybody is pretty familiar with on this team so far. Lujan, who is a player that is going to be coming on board with the team. If not, I don't know if he's signed yet or not, but he's going to be coming on board with us. I would love to know what everybody in the chat thinks, whether it's going to be Chelo or Lujan. As far as Lujan is concerned, right? Gonzalo Lujan, he played for San Lorenzo between 2021 and 2025, 78 appearances for the team. And since then, hasn't played, and then now he's joining us.
And if you think about it, Chris, that's not a lot of games. 78 games in 3 years is about a 23-game average, or maybe a little bit more, 24, 25-game average. And that's not a lot, especially in Argentina, where you play, 3-4 tournaments. And some of these teams play Copa Libertadores and play Copa Sudamericana. So they're playing 40, 45 games a year. So the fact that he didn't play a lot could be a little bit concerning, Chris. Now, if you're asking me at this point, I haven't seen enough of Lujan. I did, have seen some of his games with San Lorenzo, but I'm going with Chelo. I think Chelo has, the chemistry with Toto Aviles. They've been playing together. They know how each other plays together. And I think they formed a trust. And until Lujan can prove, that he can overtake Chelo, I think you have to continue going with Chelo.
So I'm looking at his stats right now. And throughout 2021 to 2024, he has 1 start in 2021, 4 starts in 2022, 12 starts out of 23 matches played in 2023. Then in 2024 was probably his best, 15 starts, 19 appearances, right? 2023 and 2024 were his best years.
Look, Chris,
yeah.
You remember there was 3 guys that were rumored to be coming from San Lorenzo at one point?
Yes.
Lujan is the worst of the 3.
Oof, that's not good, man.
No. But
that's not good.
But for MLS, look, a lot of people were saying the same thing about Chelo last year when he came from Boca Juniors. How, he wasn't playing in Boca Juniors, and how, he's going to, don't expect too much from him. But again, I think we all agree that while he had his mishaps last year, he was a pretty solid right back. And yeah, look, he was new in the league. He was learning the league. And again, I think he'll have a better second year. So, and right there, Don Cafecito saying it, San Lorenzo fans were, kind of relieved that he left. What does that go to show you? But Boca Juniors fans were also relieved that Chelo was leaving. So, sometimes the pasture is a little bit greener on the other side, and we have to hope that for Lujan, that's the case, and that he can make a name for himself here at Inter Miami.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm noticing, because a lot of San Lorenzo fans were like, they were totally okay with losing this player. And that's scary. That's scary. I'm not really fond of that. As far as like tackles are concerned, like just looking at it, he's not the greatest. Just looking at a lot of these stats, his challenges, he had 50% tackling percentage on challenges in 2024, 16 blocks. It's just, it's not anything that sort of stands out, especially knowing that he's appeared 29 times for his team, or 19 times in 2024. So that's a little scary, to be honest. I'm going to go with Chelo just because I'd rather have the person that I know versus the person I don't know, for sure. So now we're going to get to last but not least, these 2 guys right here, guys. And chat, this is where you're heavily needed here. So there's a reason I wore this goalie kit, okay? The biggest discussion last night on our Spanish show was by far the Drake versus Rocco deal And it's crazy that we're having this conversation after one preseason game where Rocco makes his first appearance as the only goalie registered on this team. So the question, guys, is who do you want? Is it Drake or is it Rocco? Now,
Chris,
yeah, go ahead.
who do you want? It
I'm gonna tell
doesn't
you-
matter. It doesn't matter who you want, Chris. It does not matter who you want. It's anybody but Drake. All right, Chris? Anybody but Drake. I've seen enough of Drake calendar. I'm sick of the fact that he cannot clear the ball out. He cannot clear the ball out to his own player. Rocco cleared the ball out multiple times where he put it on his player's chest or even on his foot. And I've never seen Drake do that more than one time in a game. When Drake gets, under pressure, he literally just rails the ball down the field. It's a turnover. It's a 50-50 ball. And I'm sick of that. We have to start playing out from the back. And Rocco gives me that, I guess, comfortability that he can do that. Not only that, but he can speak to his players. He can tell his players, push up, push back, man on. Drake could not speak to his players. Look, at the end of the day, anybody but Drake.
I'm going to tell you, look, Steve Munoz, very level-headed. I love Don Cavecito. Says Drake for now, but Rocco has more raw talent and needs more experience. There's another comment that I really liked up here. I'm going to see if I can find it by Clara. Drake for now, but he better step up. There's one thing that I do like about this Rocco heat, okay? And it's the fact that I've always been saying ever since he took the job from Marsman, he's had no competition. After his first year, complete year, after taking the job from Marsman, he was on fire. But since then, he knew that no one else was going to take his job.
And Chris,
who
was he competing against? Was Marsman, in your opinion, really that great? Like, it's kind of like, yeah, Drake.
He was good with the ball at his feet.
He was better than Drake, but he also had quite a few mistakes in his own, and blunders where the ball went through his legs once into the goal and all that. So we've never had a true goalkeeper on Inter Miami who can play with his feet.
This is amazing. This is amazing, Mike V. When Rocco cuts onions, the onions cry. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Oh, my God, Mike V. He's right again. Rocco can divide by 0. And I mean, look, absolutely. And I can guarantee you he can count all the decimals in pi. There's absolutely no doubt.
Death once had a near Rocco experience. Listen, I'll tell you the thing about Rocco that benefits. I mean, I don't know if it's going to benefit Drake, but the one thing that I'll tell you that the people that are picking Rocco have a benefit with is the fact that Drake had a pretty drastic decline last season. And clearly it was seen. He allowed goals that he shouldn't have allowed or you wouldn't have expected him to allow. You could tell that he didn't really get as better as what was expected with the ball at his feet. And he had people lurking. Like CJ Dos Santos looked sexy at times.
We saw him live.
And we saw him.
Live,
yes.
He looked like Dos Salsa was definitely moving those hips.
He looked sexy at times. So like, and again, and the one thing I've noticed about the goalkeeper position is, and again, I'm more familiar with American football. So the backup quarterback is always like the most known person because when the starter starts messing up, the backup is like the number one person that everybody's calling out for, right? Now, in this case, we have Rocco who had one blunder in the last game, but then showed out, right? And killed it with the penalties. And now people are clamoring for him versus Drake. And I don't see that as far-fetched because Drake did not have the greatest season last year.
Drake is riding the coattails of his 2022 Leagues Cup championship. That's really the only time that he really truly shined for this team was in the 2022 Leagues Cup. Played absolute lights out, saved Inter Miami in the final, made the final PK. But look at me clearly. Look at me clearly. That is the only thing that Drake Callender has done for Inter Miami. One trophy. And what? Everybody is willing to just say, hey, give him the starting spot? No. Let me see some footwork. Let me see something else. Don't give me the same Drake Callender that we've seen for 3 years.
Rocco built the hospital he was born in, according to Mike V, per sources.
And sorry about that. I meant 2023 Leagues Cup. I was a little bit thinking a little bit too far behind. I mean, he wasn't even there when Inter Miami won the Coastal Carolina Cup. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna tell you, I pulled up some stats. I said, let me go into Danny mode. And I pulled up some stats. In the USL, Rocco's save percentage was 72.2%. Drake Callender in the MLS is 72.8%. Now, these are between, let me see, matches played 33 by Rocco, 32 by Drake. Now, I mean, there's got to be more than this, but I think that was just looking at one season. Yeah, that was just looking at 2024. Now, I'm looking at Rocco, his last season that he played for Phoenix Rising. He had 33 matches played, 2,970 minutes, and goals allowed, he allowed 38 goals, and goals per 90 minutes was 1.15. Drake Callender in 2024 appeared 32 times. He allowed 45 goals, 1.41 goals per 90 minutes.
Chris, at the end of the day, the main reason why Rocco's here is because he can cook an asado and Drake can't. Let's be real. Who's cooking the asados on the Fridays before game day? It's gonna be Rocco. Let's be real. And not only that, Rocco's gonna kill the cow. Rocco's gonna skin the cow, and then he's gonna butcher the meat and cook it for the team because Rocco is the man.
I mean, and according to Steve Munoz, Rocco spices up his steak with pepper spray. You guys are gods in the chat. Mike V, you just started something that is godly. Rocco can hear sign language and also strangle you with a cordless phone. I mean, what powers? And you know what? Rocco does sound more manly, Tati. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I love backup quarterback stuff. I love backup goalkeeper stuff. I'm picking Drake, but I'm picking Drake by like a whisker because Rocco did look sexy on the PKs. I like his little cocky bounce back, boom, 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 and block. It was amazing. So I think that this is going to be a way more entertaining argument with Danny. I can't wait till Danny gets on here because he was riding hard the calendar train. Pause. And I don't know, man. Drake didn't play that great last year, so I can understand the reason why people are displeased with him, why everybody wants him out. Like, I get it. I'm telling you, off of one game, it's a little drastic. If he starts showing this consistently, then I might have to jump ship. But one game, I think it's a little drastic. Is it fair to say that, though, Solana, like after one game, that it's a little drastic? Or is it like, no, feet are dug in, it's Rocco or nothing at this point?
No, I'm not saying it's Rocco or nothing. My feet are dug in. I'm saying it's anybody but Drake. I'm fine with Ustadi starting. I'm fine with Rocco starting. I'm fine with bringing another goalkeeper. At this point, I'm just over Drake. And like I typed in the chat, at the end of the day, Mate will always be greater than Yoga and Zen. So bring me the Argentinians, bring me the Uruguayans, the Brazilians, even bring me the Paraguayans that drink the tereré. I'm all in on the South Americans. No more yoga in the net.
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Steve Munoz is saying Drake better watch out because Rocco doesn't sleep. He waits. Mike V says a bulletproof vest wears Rocco for protection. Where's bulletproof vest? Where's Rocco? And shout out. I know, Bruni, I've been bringing up your comments, but shout out for the $1 super song. I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it, Bruni. He put up a comment up here. Guys, this is tremendo falta de respeto. Pure disrespect, guys. 109 viewers and only 52 likes, guys. Got to get those thumbs working. Okay.
Let's do it for Chris. Don't do it for me. Let's be real. Do it for Chris. Don't do it for me.
Let's go. Now, I'll tell you right now, again, I think that at this point, the fan base are, I don't want to say they're over Drake, but I feel like if we don't start to see some drastic improvements, I feel like Drake might lose a large portion of the fan base that have been like super patient. I don't
think so. I don't think so, man. And I think we've seen that with the chat. Everybody is on Drake's side. For some reason, he is the fan favorite, which is fine. I can understand that.
He's really good at stopping the balls. He's not good at kicking the balls, but he's good at stopping them.
I know, but unfortunately in soccer, if you're a goalie, you have to do more than just stop the ball. You need to be able to communicate with your team. You need to be able to play out of the back. You need to be able to get open and get into open spaces when the other team is pressuring you. And Drake doesn't do any of that. All he does is receive the ball, look up, and if Busquets isn't open, he just kicks it downfield. And that's just not good enough. It's not good enough. I mean, at this point, bring me Brad Guzan.
Well, I mean, Brad Guzan, if he's on that Guzan juice, I'll take him every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And last one, Mike B saying Rocco can make a slinky go upstairs. Look, Upcode is saying Drake not good with his feet. That's one of the things that a lot of people aren't a big fan of. So it's understood. A lot of people not liking that part of his game. I honestly thought, and I don't know, maybe I don't play soccer like that, right? I don't play football like that. So I honestly thought that was something that as a goalkeeper would be a little bit easier to brushing up on or like practice on as far as like ball placement when it comes to like crossing it over to your teammates or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe it's just I guess the dumb person in me that doesn't know soccer that much. I thought it was easy to do that. Like in terms of practicing it, right? I mean, you're at the pitch every single day. You're with your goalkeeper coach every single day. I would think that after like a couple months, you'd be a sniper with that.
But remember, a lot of those skills are learned when you're younger. And when you're younger, especially in the United States, a lot of goalkeepers don't train with the rest of their teams when they're doing skill work. The goalkeepers are training on the side, working on, diving for the ball and doing their own training. So they miss out. And I can tell you this from, personal experiences, playing in college, playing semi-pro, playing high school club ball. I mean, the goalies were always there during physical training, but then when it was time to train with the ball, they were off to the side doing their own stuff. So it's a big issue in how kids train in the United States. And it's not an issue in South America. You're basically born with a ball in South America, and you play on the field before you learn how to play goalie. So unfortunately, it is what it is, Chris.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like I watch a lot of football Miami every Sunday with Peter Brown and Uncle Ed. And there's one thing that Peter Brown loves to say: us Americans love to catch balls. And Drake Callender obviously is an American from California, and he's pretty good at catching balls. He's pretty good at blocking balls. But you could tell that he's missing that thing that you just mentioned. The whole like kids just get up, get on the pitch, start playing soccer just immediately. Like nobody's playing goalie. Everybody's it's a free for all. It's a Royal Rumble on the pitch, and whoever gets the ball just scores, right? but at some point you already kind of have like a like the basics down, I guess, of being able to handle the ball with your feet. So it's an important piece for sure. I'm not saying it's the most important, but it is an important piece nonetheless. And the communication is something that I do agree with is pretty critical. I always thought that it'd be basic stuff. Solana, before we head out, any final thoughts?
No, man, this was probably one of the funnest shows we did, just debating players and talking crap with the chat. Honestly, you guys have been like you always are. You guys are by far the best part of the show, keeping us, on our feet. Definitely when I make a mistake and stuff that, you got Florida Man always calling me out and everybody else. So I appreciate you guys, joining us an hour and 15 minutes. We always think we're going to go an hour when we just keep going. So we apologize for being a minute late, like always, but we don't apologize for going 15 minutes late. And we hope that you had a good time with us, right, Chris?
Oh, hell yeah, man. This was a blast. Listen, I want to tell you guys, chat, you guys are literally the effing best. The only reason I'm trying not to curse is because there was a comment on YouTube, and I'm trying. Danny and I are definitely going to try to not curse as much. I can't make any promises because I am a literal sailor when it comes to cursing, but I'm going to try my best. You guys in the chat are the best. Okay. Dennis Lopez saying hashtag Solana out. Russell saying Chris out. I don't think there's any other better way to say that than each of us getting a both out. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this puppy up. Guys, if you guys have been listening to us for the last hour and 16 minutes, thank you guys so much for listening. For those of you that are tuned in on audio, whether it's Napster, Apple, iTunes, Streamfest, I don't even know. I'm just making sites up. Put comments down and put down, I don't know, Danny Granada, you suck balls. Okay. So put that in the comments, please. Danny, you suck balls. Okay. And guys, put like a 5-star rating on those audio things. For those of you listening on live on YouTube, guys, thank you so much. Take the time, like and subscribe. If you got some friends that listen to Inter Miami stuff or like soccer, let them know to listen to us. You guys have literally been the best part of the show. Solana just said it. I'm telling you guys, literally, you guys are a blast. All the awesome comments. You guys are literally the best, dude. Really. Now, we'll be on in 2 days to do another show. Okay. So make sure that you keep that notification thing, the little bell thing on, so that way you can see us when we get on. And guys, until the next one, have a good one.